Hello and welcome. Blessings to all of you joining us in the world of the Torah portion, where we read redemptive history from a Hebrew perspective. This week's Torah portion is Ki Tavo.
All right, let's dive right in. This week's portion opens up with an idea that really gets to the heart of what faith is all about. In his powerful sermon on Ki Tavo, Pastor Kim Soo-gon directs our attention to this beautiful, grace-filled concept, the idea of an inheritance given to us directly by God. Right off the bat, we get this incredible declaration. Now, pay close attention to the wording here because it's so important. It doesn't say the land you'll earn or the land you deserve. No, it says the land God will give you as an inheritance. This isn't a payment for a job well done. It's a pure gift, flowing from a promise God made freely to his people. And the Hebrew language gives us an even deeper picture of this. The word for this special kind of inheritance is nahala, and it literally means something that flowed in. Just think about that image for a second. It's not something you work for or build yourself. It's like a river of grace that just flows into your life. It's a pure gift you could never, ever create on your own. Now, to really bring this idea home, to take it from just a word on a page to something we can really feel, Pastor Kim shares a very personal part of his own story. He looks back at his life and asks this question, just filled with awe, wondering how the light of God could have possibly flowed into his life, a life that seemed totally cut off from it. I mean, get this. His family was deeply Buddhist for generations. His grandfather even ran a temple. He was the very first person in his entire family line to ever hear the gospel and believe. So he kept asking himself, how? How did this happen? The answer he found wasn't about his own effort or cleverness. It was right there in the book of Ephesians. He was chosen by God before the world was even created. His salvation wasn't something he achieved, it was his nahala. It was a divine inheritance that miraculously just flowed in.
All right, so that brings us to the name of this week's portion itself, Ki Tavo. And this name, well, it's not just a title. It's a powerful promise about God's perfect timing.
Ki Tavo means when you enter, and the key word there is when, not if. You see the difference? This isn't a maybe, it's not a possibility. It's a declaration of certainty. It tells us that God works on a divine schedule. His promises aren't just wishful thinking. They have a guaranteed appointed time for fulfillment. And when you step back, you can see this perfect timing playing out across the entire story of the Bible. It's this incredible thread of promise that starts with one man, Abraham. It gets passed down for centuries through Isaac and Jacob. It's carried by Moses out of slavery. And ultimately, this ancient promise finds its absolute fulfillment in Jesus Christ, who is our true and eternal rest. So what does this mean for you and me right now? It means that even when things feel stuck, when that promise God gave you feels a million miles away, you've got to remember, God's clock is ticking perfectly. His appointed time will come. Okay, so picture this. The people finally enter the land. This inheritance, this nahala, is theirs. The promise is fulfilled. What's the very first thing God asks them to do? How do you even begin to respond to a gift this big? He tells them to bring the rishit, the first fruits from their harvest. Now, this word, rishit, is so much more than just the first thing they picked. It means the best, the prime, the very beginning of everything. By giving God that first part, they were basically saying, God, we know all of this comes from you. It was a powerful act of faith. And as Pastor Kim's sermon explains, this offering of the first fruits, it was pointing to something, or rather someone, much, much bigger. The ultimate rishit, the ultimate first and best offering is Jesus Christ himself. He's called the first fruits from the dead, and his resurrection is the guarantee that the rest of the harvest, which is us, is coming too. Now, I want you to really try and put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine you've only ever known slavery or wandering in a barren desert, and now you're planting seeds in your own land. You're harvesting your own food. It would feel completely unreal, wouldn't it? Like you were in a dream. Psalm 126 just nails this feeling, doesn't it? We were like those who dreamed. It's a joy so massive, so miraculous, it feels surreal. And you know what? That is the exact same kind of breathtaking joy we get to feel when it finally sinks in what our salvation really means, that we've been rescued from slavery to sin and brought into a life of grace we never could have earned. But here's the thing about that kind of dreamlike joy. To really appreciate it, you can't forget where you started. You have to remember what life was like before this grace flowed in. So,
As part of this first fruit ceremony, they had to say something very specific. My father was a wandering Aramaean. The Hebrew word there for wandering is avad. And this isn't just about traveling. Avad is a heavy, heavy word. It means to be lost, to be straying, to be on a path headed for total destruction and ruin.
And that's not just their story, is it? It's our story. That's a perfect picture of where we all were, spiritually, before Christ. We were in a state of avad, lost, wandering, perishing. But then God, by His grace and His grace alone, He reached in and completely flipped the script on our destiny.
Okay, this next part, this is where it all comes together. This is the big challenge from Pastor Kim's sermon, and honestly, if we can really get this, it changes everything about how we live our lives starting today.
Think about this for a second. It's pretty mind-blowing. The Israelites are standing there, looking at the Jordan River, this huge, impossible obstacle, and God starts talking to them about the harvest that's on the other side of the river. You see, they were stuck in what we can call my tense, staring at the problem. But God was speaking from God's tense, the reality where the promise is already a done deal. And that right there is God's gracious invitation to every single one of us. It's like He's saying, hey, stop looking at your life from down here in the valley with all the problems. Come up here with me. I want you to see what I see from the mountaintop, where my promises are already fulfilled. I want to share my vision with you. And this isn't some new thing God is doing. He's been training His people this way forever. Just look at Abraham and Sarah. God gives them these new names, father of many nations and mother of nations, when they are old and completely childless. Can you imagine? Every single day, in the face of their own reality, they had to speak their future into their present. They were literally training themselves day by day to live in God's tense instead of their own. So, what's the takeaway for us? It's a call to live with that kind of bold, holy expectation, to start acting like God's promises are not just a possibility, but a certainty. It means making room for the blessings He's already planned for you, instead of letting your current situation box you in. And at the end of the day, that's the profound question Tavo leaves us with. It's a choice we all have to make every single day. Are we going to live in our tense, totally fixated on the rivers we have yet to cross and the problems right in front of us? Or will we choose, by faith, to step into God's tense and start walking in the freedom, the peace, and the dreamlike joy of a victory that has already been won? Thank you for joining us on this journey of deep grace with a Torah portion.